Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome to another topic from ecology. And this time we're going to discuss R selected species as well as K selected species, or simply we can call it R selection and K selection. So in this video lecture we'll briefly discuss all the terms under the topic, right? So in our ecosystem, species divided into two categories depending on their environmental condition, on their reproducibility rate. The species divided into two categories, that is R selected species and K selected species. So whenever we start studying a topic, or start discussing a topic, we need to know that what the term means, right? So first of all, R species. What this R means? R means is intrinsic rate of natural increase, or R also means reproduction, right? So as intrinsic rate of increase, what this means is the number of offspring produced by the individual, or how many number of individual by the parents, right? That the intrinsic rate of increase known. And the reproduction rate is also known as birth rate minus death rate. That is, whenever the birth rate is high, the reproduction rate is positive, right? So this R selected species is generally dependent on their reproduction, or in R selected species we mostly talk about their densities because of their higher density rate, or high ability to reproduce offspring than the K selected species, right? Then on contrast to K selected species, what K mean is carrying capacity, that how many species a particular environment can support, right? Or how many a population of species a particular environment is support is known as carrying capacity, and the carrying capacity is denoted by a K, right? So let's begin with the differences, as well as we also discuss the term under, or decode the terms there, what the actual meanings of the terms that occur under the R selected species and the K selected species. So the first difference come under the environmental condition. So the R selected species survive in a variable, unpredictable as well as uncertain environment. So what it means is variable and unpredictable and uncertain environment means when the population is surviving, right? So it does not need a stable environment, or we can say it can survive in an unstable environment. It does not affected by the disastrous changes in the environment or any natural calamities, right? It does not affected by the unstable environment. On contrast to K selected species, they are fairly constant, as well as they survive in a they have to, or they need a stable environment to survive, or more certain environment to survive, right? So next is mortality rate. In R selected species, the mortality rate is non-directed as well as density independent, and in case of K selected species it is more directed and density dependent. So what density independent and dependent mean is, suppose there is a population in particular area, and some natural disturbance occur in that particular area, so very less population is affected in that area in case of R species. Why? Because they have high ability to reproduce organism, or they reproduce their offspring very rapidly, and the density does not affect at all. But not in case of K selected species, as they reproduce very fewer offsprings, so they are affected by the natural calamities, right? So next is difference is under survivorship. So this difference, I'll discuss this difference at the end. in briefly, right? Next step, population size. So in R selected species, population is variable in time, non-equilibrium, below the carrying capacity of environment. But in case of K selected species, the population size is fairly constant in time, equilibrium at or near the carrying capacity of environment. What it means is, firstly, here is the graph. So carrying capacity of the R selected species does not reach at here. This is the carrying capacity, right? Mean if the R species have the higher carrying capacity, that means its survival rate is high. But this is not in case of R species, because the survival rate of the R species is very low. But in case of K selected species, the population size is at or near the carrying capacity of environment, that is their survival rate as well as the parental care in the K selected species is high, so they attain the carrying capacity, right? So next step, selection favor. So in case of R selected species, they follow rapid development, and on contrast, K selected species follow slower development. Next is it has high rate of increase. As I already told you, it reproduces many offsprings at a particular time. On contrast, K selected species reproduction rate is or low rate of increase in offsprings, right? And this attain early reproduction, right? It does not go through many developmental stages, and due to their short lifespan, on contrast, the K species delayed reproduction because of their long lifespan. R selected species have small body size, and the K selected species has the large body size. Next step, the R selected species attains similarity, that it reproduces once in a lifetime. That's why it reproduces enormously, because then it have to reproduce only one. But in case of K selected species, it is heteroparous and it attains repetitive reproduction, right? That's why they produce the fewer offsprings. R selected species has the many small offsprings, and K selected species has fewer and large offsprings. R selected species, due to their short lifespan, attain the low level of social organization, whereas in case of K selected species, it attains the high level of social organization. Right, so in case of lifespan of the K selected species is short, less than a year, and K selected species is long, more than a year. And the successional stage of the R selected species is early, and the K selected species is late or the climax, right? Means the R selected species does not go through many developmental stages, as it has very short lifespan. But this K selected species go through the developmental stages, as in case of as we already studied that in case of succession, in forest, we will study about the successional changes in the environment during the formation of new species of any grass or right. So it that species pass through the many developmental changes, so as this also in case of R selected and K selected, but in other way, right? So here is the 3 survivorship curve, which include under R and K species, right? So here is the x-axis and here is the y-axis. The x-axis include the number of survivor. On the other hand, y-axis includes the age variant, right? So what happened in the case of type 3 curve, which include R species, as we already know that R species has R species reproduce enormously, right? So when the growth rate occur, the number of survivor in the R species is high, and as the age passes, its survival rate is decline rapidly or drastically decline, right? So in this case, the survival rate is very low, right? And the its density during the reproduction is high, right? But in case of K species, that is on the type 1 curve, the number of survivor is high, but they do not, its number do not decrease drastically, but in the slower rate, means its age is longer than that of R species. So here is, it passes through the various developmental stages, and slowly the uh, uh, population pass through the end of their life cycle, right? So this type of curve include under K species. So K species is heteroparity, serve heteroparity. On the other hand, R species serve similarity, which include only single reproduction in their lifespan, but K species include multiple reproduction in their lifespan, right? So type 1 include mammals, right? Mammals, Drosophila. These species include under type 1 or K species. These are the. On the other hand, R species include like insects, pelagic fishes, shellfish, gymnosperms, frogs, sea turtle. These all species include under type 3 curve, right? Because they increase drastically whenever they find the opportunity to regrow, to growth or to reproduction, right? So that's why these R species is also known as opportunistic species, right? Because they need only a opportunity to reproduce, right? But here is the another curve or this line which include type 2 curve, right? So in the type 2 curve, it include under this type of curve include mammals, right? But it just similar to that of type 1 curve, but it include mammal, but whenever there is a poor hygienic condition, poor availability of food, so during that time type 2 survivorship curve occur, right? So this is the whole information about the R selection as well as K selection, or R species and K species. So this is all about it. Thank you.